Hi, I'm Karen Salmonson, and this is my seminar. It's Never Too Late to Rejigger Your Life. This seminar is a reminder from my book, You're to Die for Life, which is available on Amazon and other places that books are sold. Did you ever notice that we spend the first half of our time on this planet being told we're too young for things? You're too young to cross the street. You're too young to stay up late. You're too young to watch this movie. Then one day, without any warning, you're suddenly too old. Too old for late night parties, too old for sequin dresses, too old for skateboards. Basically, there's like a 10-minute window in your 30s, somewhere between paying off student loans and your first colonoscopy, when society thinks you're just right. And if you blink, you miss it. But here's the thing about this you're too old story, it's all baloney. There's no rule book that says, after age 63, you're too old to wear leather pants, too old to dye your hair pink, too old to start a new hobby or skill, too old to find new love. We need to stop paying attention to this flimsy notion of being age appropriate. There's no cosmic referee who's going to blow a whistle and say, I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's an age limit on beginning to live more fully. So stop worrying about the right age for experiences. The worst thing that can happen is you'll have stories to tell, the kind that don't start with a nostalgic look back to when you were 25. The truth is, the only person who's been stopping you from leaping into new adventures is, well, you. You are your own built in referee. And it's time to fire that galler guy because if life is a game, you don't want to spend your later years as a bench warmer. In fact, I'm coming around to the idea that the back half of life is when the real fun kicks in. For me, aging is like leveling up in the game of life, unlocking new adventures and power ups, also known as wisdom. It's like being handed a get out of overthinking free card because at this point in my life, I realize ain't nobody got time for that. Getting older has many definite perks. You know yourself more and care less about what people think. You have the freedom to explore life with a deeper emotional and mental perspective that you just didn't have when you were younger. The second half, I believe it's about gathering all those rules you dutifully obeyed, then examining each with your mature eye, tilting your head and saying, really? Then one by one, you start breaking any rules you now recognize as absurd. Why? Well, because you can, and because at this point, what do you really have to lose? Oh, and don't waste time beating yourself up about all the many people you wish you would have been dancer you, baker you, mom you, a veritable chorus line of yous. Know this now. To live is to pare down, to pick a lane. Sometimes you choose, sometimes the choice is a hurricane that picks you up and drops you somewhere you never planned. And there you are, landing with a thud, not even sure where your shoes went. Make peace with your past, especially those parts where you didn't get to choose because your choices were closed off by big, unmovable things like time, money, or the laws of biology or physics. You must soldier on and ask yourself those questions that are sitting quietly in the back of your mind, too shy to raise their hands. What's tugging at my sleeve now? What am I pretending not to see and not to feel that I truly, desperately want? What needs to be faced, embraced, or chased down by me? Whatever the answer is, do it now. Because if you're not careful, before you know it, you will wake up one morning and realize you're not 25 anymore. In fact, you haven't been 25 for, well, let's not do the math. Recognize that there are still many unexplored days ahead of you. It's never too late to rejigger, to reframe, to reinvent. It's never too late to mess up, to start over, to laugh at yourself and say, what the heck am I doing learning to tango at age 71? Then go and do it anyway. After all, the only thing worse than starting something new and feeling foolish is wishing that you did, then feeling foolish because you didn't. Because the truth is, it's going to break your heart later if you don't dare to try. Remember, there is no expiration date on new beginnings. It's time to toss out that rule book on when to stop starting. Get up off the couch and get started now. Yes, even if it means making those oof sounds as you stand up. You won't be alone in your daring late bloomer adventures. History is loaded up with folks who didn't get the memo that they were supposed to quietly decay after hitting 50. There are many inspiring stories of people who said, I'm not done yet. Some late in life beginners include Colonel Sanders. He didn't strike it rich with his chicken empire until his 60s. Julia Child was 50 when she put out her first cookbook. Toni Morrison snagged a Nobel Prize in Literature at 62. Grandma Moses didn't even start painting until she was in her 70s. Climbing Everest at 73, Tamaya Watanabe did that. And let's not forget about Morgan Freeman. This man didn't land his first major movie role until he was 52. Plus, John Glenn was 77 when he ventured back into space. So you're never too old to pick up a brush, a pen, a microphone, a chicken wing, or whatever. And it's not just these famous giants either. I've seen people around me rewrite their stories later in life. Marla popped out a baby at 50. Jane ditched her soul crushing corporate job at 47 to chase her dream in sustainable fashion. John went back to school at 51 to become a therapist. Susie reignited her passion for photography in her 50s. Plus, there's my incredible mom. After my dad passed away, she met her now long term boyfriend, Irv, when she was in her 70s, then started in a play at 92. Each of these stories are proof that blooming can happen at any age, that perhaps the richness of the soil improves, not in spite of the years, but because of them. You can get better and better, not just older and older. Age isn't a cage unless you let it be. In fact, your later years can actually become your best years. And that's not just me trying to cheer you up, it's backed by research. There's something called the U shape of happiness. Researchers at the U of Texas discovered that happiness follows a U shape over the course of life, kind of like a skateboard park, high on both ends, low in the middle. Here's the full breakdown. Youth, that's when you're launching off the ramp, soaring high, fueled by energy, endless possibilities, and the sheer joy of thinking you're invincible. Then middle age hits, and it's like someone filled your pockets with rocks and also added a mortgage, a job you're not sure you like, and a marriage that might be teetering between rom com and psychological thriller. And then there's your kids who you know must love you, but have a hard time showing it. This is when the U dips big time. Then finally, we become older. Now's when things go on the upswing. Just when your knees give out, your happiness ticks up. It's not that you don't have problems. You just know that you can handle them, or you know which ones to let go of. And so you find this weird little thing called inner peace. This U shaped curve of happiness reminds me of a quote from the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Life may be compared to a piece of embroidery, of which during the first half of his time, a man gets a sight of the right side, and during the second half of the wrong. The wrong side is not so pretty as the right, but it is more instructive. It shows the way in which the threads have been worked together. Arthur Schopenhauer. What Schopenhauer said fits with this U curve. When you're young, all you see is the polished front side of life. But as you age, you start to see the messy underside, the knots, tangles, and loose threads. At first, it's jarring, but then you realize it's a kind of map. Those messy bits explain why the chaotic and beautiful parts interplayed the way they did. Hopefully, in your later years, you'll start to see your life like that. Not perfect, but stitched together in a way that makes sense eventually. And once you see the pattern, if you don't like it, you can change it. You can get better and better, not just older and older. You can rejigger your life. You don't have to go humongous with your rejiggering either. After all, many of us don't have the luxury of starting over completely, of shedding our lives like last year's snakeskin. There are kids, half raised, staring bewildered at algebra homework. There are jobs 2 years shy of a pension. Even with your commitments, you can still shapeshift your life a little. I'm not talking about completely abandoning ship, but about learning to dance on the deck. Here's a wild thought. What if you became the world's okayest harmonica player? Or you started writing poetry that you only read to your dog? Perhaps you could try stand up comedy at the local cafe on a Wednesday night, or turn your garage into a painter's studio. Rejiggering your life isn't merely about the grand leap. It's about the small steps taken while the coffee brews or the laundry tumbles dry. It's grabbing a sketch pad or a set of watercolors and just making something. It's about finding those tiny moments of rebellion against the mundane that don't require a grand departure from your current life. Plus, isn't rejiggering sorta the whole point of life? You want to create a life so rich with quirky, personalized details that when your eulogy is finally read aloud, it sounds less like a generic checklist and more like the poetic lyrics of a life well lived. This balancing act between duty and desire isn't easy, but it's doable with a bit of flair and a lot of stealth. Now, I hear you asking, but how do I start? First, you must understand that fear is the main villain in your story. Fear of failure, of judgment, of change. You must slap those fears in the face with the following far bigger fear: the regret of getting to the end of your life and feeling like you wished you'd lived with more courage and passion. Sure, habits can be hard to break, but the only thing that should ever be set in stone is that inscription on your future gravestone. And you have the power to make sure that this inscription does not read, "Here lies the king or queen of excuses." Life is short, but it's also wide. You need to spread your arms, take a deep breath, and plunge into your life head first. Do it now, because here's the deal. We're all going to die. I know, shocking news, right? If you're just finding out now, I apologize. Although I've been trying my best to catch you up to speed on this. If you've known about death for a while now, but still haven't done much with this info, now is the time to act, because the Grim Reaper is unbribable. The truth is, when you finally face the fact that your life has a hard stop, you'll wonder why you ever kept those pristine, unused sketchbooks on the shelf when they could have been messy, inked with attempts at capturing the curve of a sleeping cat. In the end, it boils down to this. If something is genuinely important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. It's time to start amping up your courage and dialing down your excuses. With this in mind, here are 9 tools to rejigger your life. It's never too late to decide that things can be different, that they can be better. Here are some tools to help. 1. Think it, then shrink it. What do you want to add to your life? Painting, carpentry, learning to sing without making dogs howl? Break down your goal into small steps so you turn those big scary things into small chewable bits, like those cute mini cupcakes. Then time box your mini cupcake size steps into your calendar. Schedule them as if they were as critical as your yearly physical, because in a way, they are. 2. Do a daily dare. Eleanor Roosevelt, supposedly, once said, "Do one thing every day that scares you." I love this idea. It's terrific for building up your courage muscles. Each day, think of something brave to do. Try a new workout. Say hi to your neighbors. Go on a field trip to some new place that is 60 minutes away from your home. Build up your bravery muscles, one awkward, shaky courage lift at a time. 3. Create a notebook of small experiments. Every week, jot down your progress on your rejiggering experiments. Cooked a new recipe? Took a different route to work? Listened to a new genre of music? This notebook will encourage you to stop living a life of Groundhog Day reruns because no one wants to live the same Tuesday on a loop, no matter how good the coffee was. 4. Write funny morning news headlines. Every morning, write down one humorous headline you'd like to see in your personal news. Local man finally learned Spanish. Woman beats own record for days in a row painting on a canvas. Woman declares victory over procrastination and starts writing novel. Widower 78 joins dating scene, says excited to love and be loved again. 5. Buddy up like a bank heist. Find your partner in crime, figuratively, please. Team up with someone who is as eager to shake things up as you are. Make a pact to call each other out on blame excuses and push each other to take bold steps. Think of this person as your bank heist buddy, but instead of stealing money, you're stealing time to do the things you want to do. 6. Skill swap. Know a friend who's got skills you envy? Swap skills with them. Maybe they know how to do yoga, but you know how to write poetry. Think of it as a mutual mentorship, a buddy system for the soul. 7. The last year imagined. When fear and excuses start whispering in your ear, just ask yourself, if I only had 1 year left to live, would I regret not doing this? It's like getting a reality check from your future self, who is kind of bossy, but also surprisingly persuasive. 8. Find your third place. There's an interesting concept conceived by sociologist Ray Oldenburg called the third place, which is all about finding a physical place other than your home or office where you can feel like you're part of something. Imagine a cozy bookstore that hosts book readings for a community of fellow book lovers, people who breathe books just like you. Think about a dog park where not only does everyone know your dog's name, but they know your name too. And it doesn't stop there. Perhaps your third place is a synagogue, a church, a mosque, a yoga studio, a gym, a pottery class. Basically, your third place is a space where you feel connected, seen, and fully yourself. Okay, now it's time to start rejiggering. Because you don't stop dancing because you got older. You get old because you stop dancing. And I don't know about you, but I plan on dancing awkwardly and enthusiastically for a long time to come. Ready to live with more boldness, authenticity, meaning, and purpose? Well, I'd love to support you further. Join me for a one-on-one life review. Together, I will help you to spot your negative dominant beliefs so you can understand the patterns in your life story, just like that embroidery quote I mentioned earlier. Then I will help you to heal and gain insight so you can move forward to a more joyful and fulfilling future. Join me for a one-on-one life review. Check it out on my website, you're to die for life.com. Just tap the button below or go to this URL, you're to die for life.com/1-on-1-coaching. Got questions? Let me know those too. Write to me at hello@mortalityaware.com. And you can find more info on the power of mortality awareness at you're to die for life.com or inside my book, You're to Die for Life.